back in the old homestead. Check this out, man. Yeah, this book is a real little thing I picked up at a Goodwill for like $3, and it's a crazy example of very good writing. I think what impressed me the most was just how smooth, how quick it is. It's like a greased pig. It's so quick. Like it says what it wants to say and then doesn't say it again. It just says it and it moves on. I would say that that's how like a very fast-paced thriller would go, but I don't know. I haven't read any freaking Dean Koontz or whatever, Clive Cussler. This cat, Eric Maisel, I'll say that's how you pronounce it, is an author. He was 50 years old at the time that he wrote this in 99 or so. He's like 70 or so now, living up in California, San Francisco. And he is a certified therapist, a very spiritual person. I could tell for sure that he was a very open soul. I'm not sure how this is, but for some reason I can see people's souls in their writing. Yeah, I just don't have the word for it. I don't understand it, so I'm just not even gonna go there. So this book is written to help writers get out of their own way as they're on the creative journey, which it isn't start, midpoint, ending. It's a big issue, and this book reflects very well how tumultuous the path is to creating anything, and that really is the best way to digest this book, because this book reads blazing fast, since what he says is so succinct. And this is about 158 pages, so you can blast this thing cover to cover during lunch or whatever. It's just a quickie. But if you read it how it's written, like any of the book, you're gonna miss all of it, because there's 7 principles that he lays out in here. Each principle is just kind of a suggestion of how you can approach your work. And mind you, they're not steps. So it's not like you need to do one to go towards the other. So it doesn't necessarily help you to go linearly as well. The best way to read this book is to have your project in mind. As I was reading it, my writing projects were just pop in my mind. Like I read this one phrase, this one little thing about honoring the process, and how you can also dishonor the process by not playing along with your creativity as it is. Because so much of the game is about accepting what comes up and letting the work be what it is, instead of wrestling with it until it takes on the position that you enjoy, It has its own soul. If there is meaning to the phrase honoring the process, there must also be meaning to the phrase dishonoring the process. The first makes no sense unless the second does also. I hope that you'll take seriously the notion that you can help or harm the writing process, and that in a corner of awareness, you already know which of the two you are doing. You won't have this awareness all the time or perfectly, and sometimes in good faith you will plant a garlic bulb even though you're dreaming of tulips. Even when you find the courage to explore your own truth about honoring and dishonoring the process, some writing successes are bound to happen. As I read that, I thought about all the times I would have a cool sounding lyric in my head and I just neglected to write it. Not even thinking, oh, I'll get it if it's good, I'll remember it if it's any good. But just straight up, my phone is too far away, Every portion of this book benefits from you actively having an issue with your project, which almost leads me to use this the way that people use other spiritual books, which is to kind of, meditate on your problem. Like if you really have a deep problem, you're stuck on it, you give it to your higher self or whatever conception of whatever you want or whatever. You go to any old book, some people use the old KJV, some people use Gita or tarot or anything, you know, and you open up to any old page and you put your finger right there, and suddenly it's like, oh crap, it's talking exactly to me right now. You can do that with this book, and I'm tempted to say that that's what he intended for it to be used as, because it just fits so well in that way. So beyond the utility and the way that you ingest the book, you know, it's not like my jump behind was like, well, let's read this thing front to back. I read it that way for sure, but the book told me, you're not supposed to, what are you doing? There is something resembling a plot in this book, because I think this is where the writer really shines, and he talks about never doing fiction again because it just doesn't pay out. But man, I mean, just the writing style and the pace of it just makes me think, I gotta read this guy's fiction because I like him. But he has 5 characters, writers, stand-ins that he uses throughout the book to explain their issues with the work and how they use the principles that he lays out. And he does that very well. 5 different characters, man, woman, young, old, gay, straight, all the things. He has all the things. As much of everybody as 5 people can be, which is a decent permutation. Is that the right word? Why not? Actually, for me, I glossed over after a while of what everyone was going through because I got it. Like, okay, what he's trying to do with this explanation is explain how these things might work for different types of people. And I think by that point I was already sold on the idea, and I just didn't have I wasn't thinking about my own stuff at the time, so I just didn't have a dog in any of those races and I just glossed through it, which is fair, I think. I think it's totally fine to do that. But that is where his book shines, and primarily is where the book slows down a little bit. Reading it linearly felt more comfortable. Like I wasn't going too fast through the points. It's 158 pages, it's a shorty, just put it on your desk, and when you're flipping out, open it up and read it, and, you know, relax and just give birth, okay? Just give birth to your work, that kind of thing. I gave it 4 arbitrary stars. That probably doesn't mean anything. And I think this is the review. I think we are done with that one. Yep.